But we're going to start off with the Chargers taking on the Raiders tomorrow night. Lucas, you, I think, out of all of us, were the lowest on. I know he hasn't done the greatest in terms of the fantasy wise the past few weeks. I think it's mainly because of the game plan. They've been running a lot more conservative. But the way that they had to operate the offense against the Falcons at the end of last week's game, they really let him unleash the ball there. And ultimately, he won them the game, getting them into field goal position. If he were to do that tomorrow night, I think he has a decent chance of finishing inside the top 10. But I think you'd have to hope that Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, they're both questionable going into this game.
Yeah, look, Justin Herbert obviously was insane for the majority of the season, and that was when he was unleashing the ball. It was when he was throwing deep touchdown passes to no-name wide receivers, which he did at a very consistent rate to start for the majority of the season. The issue is he stopped doing that, and whether it's Anthony Lynn being more conservative, which is what I assume it is, that's very concerning. I'm concerned that the last 3 weeks, that's what's happened, and it, especially if Mike Williams is out tomorrow, or if their whole team is out, I know just about everybody there is questionable, which is very concerning. So I'm very concerned about Justin Herbert right now. I have him at 17. He's dropped quite a bit in my rankings just because I think with Austin Eckler coming back, I think they've reverted back to the dink and dunk method that the Chargers have had a little bit recently. So that's where my concern with Herbert comes in.
Yeah, I think that's a fair concern. I do like this matchup, though, against Vegas. We talked about how last week Atlanta, that's about as good of a matchup as you can get. The Raiders are also nearly as good of a matchup for the quarterback position. I do like Herbert still a lot this week. He's in my top 10 of quarterbacks. He's going to stay there probably for the rest of the year unless something drastic happens in this next game or the game after that. But overall, I still like Justin Herbert this week. I think he has to be in your lineup.
Do you guys still have Keenan Allen inside your top 5 for wide receivers? I know a few weeks ago we acted as if he was a definite wide receiver, top 3 the rest of the season. And then, he's been consistent, getting those double-digit fantasy points in PPR, but nothing absurd like we had seen a few weeks ago.
He still got 20 points last week. The target share still hit double-digit targets. I think he's actually hit double-digit targets for many, many, many weeks in a row now. The target numbers are still so good. He is absolutely way up there.
Yeah, he has 4 weeks in a row with double-digit targets. He only has 3 weeks this entire season where he jumped below double-digit targets. I agree with you. He's not been insane, but he's been really good still. And that's all you can really ask from the wide receiver position is consistently high production week to week. Now, against New England, that was a tough game for him. 5 catches for 48 yards, translated to a little under 10 fantasy points in PPR. But other than that, he's still been Keenan Allen. He's still been putting up over 15 PPR fantasy points each week. He's getting in the end zone. He has 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He's absolutely fine. Keenan Allen still run him out there as a top 5 wide receiver.
Jay, we'll get to your question about Kittle in a little bit, but Sandy here asked the $1 million question that I've now seen on Twitter so many times. I just had to tweet out, what's wrong with Kyler Murray, and why is everyone so down on him? Here's another one, Herbert or Murray this week. I still think you got to go Kyler Murray. I mean, last week we talked about it. He had 13 rush attempts. I know he may be playing a little injured right now, but so is everyone in the NFL. He seems like he's progressing more and more each week. Even against the Rams, he threw 3 touchdown passes. I don't understand why people are contemplating starting Jalen Hurts right now over Kyler Murray. It just does not make sense.
Don't start Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray. Don't start Justin Herbert over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is, I was saying it whenever his rush attempts were down. It's the shoulder last week, 13 rush attempts, like Shane said. He gets it done in the air. He gets it done on the ground. When he starts to get in the end zone on the ground again, and he will get in the end zone on the ground again before this season is over, he's going to have an insane fantasy day and could win you your playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Kyler Murray, you have to put him in your lineup. We're at the same point of the year. Talked about it on our podcast earlier, Shane. We're going to keep talking about it. Start your studs in the fantasy playoffs. Kyler Murray's a stud. I understand he hasn't been top tier recently. He also has had 3 extremely, extremely tough matchups recently. Past 3 games, New England, then the Rams, then the Giants, who have a sneakily good defense against opposing quarterbacks. Still had 13 carries in that game. He has the rushing floor. It'll continue to be there. Kyler Murray is also a guy you have to start. I have him at number 5 in my quarterback rankings this week. Only guys I'm starting above him are Allen, Jackson, Rodgers, and Mahomes. Everybody else, I think you got to go with Kyler Murray.
That's exactly how I have them lined up, Jack. Those are the only 4 I would start over Kyler Murray at this point. Moving over to the Raiders side of the ball for tomorrow night, Jack, I know your sleeper of the week is Nelson Aglor. He's been on fire as of late. A guy that not a lot of people are putting a lot of respect on his name, but maybe you want to shine some light on him right here.
Yeah, Nelson Aguilar's target numbers recently have gone through the roof. He has more targets in his past 4 games than he had the entire season before that. He's getting touches, he's getting catches, and they're for big plays. I think he's also upgraded a little bit in standard leagues. I was looking at his standard scoring versus his PPR scoring. He's a big play receiver. So while he does have some volume in terms of his catch numbers, he also gets in the end zone a decent amount and has some big plays. Obviously, the target numbers are there. Past 4 games, they've been throwing to him. Henry Ruggs is also out this week, so look for Derek Carr to look to Nelson Aguilar a little bit more if Henry Ruggs is not there. That was one big play option. Now all the big plays are going to be through Nelson Aguilar as well. Hunter Renfrow, I don't think he's a start in regular fantasy league. Sneaky daily option, though, with Henry Ruggs out. Overall, though, I do like Nelson Aguilar a lot this week.
I'm looking, Lucas, I'll give this one to you. Hopefully my signal's okay. It says I have a weak signal here. I don't know if the snow is interrupting anything. But I'm looking at Josh Jacobs right now, and he played a season-low percentage of snaps last week against the Indianapolis Colts. Only 43%. Saw 18 touches, 13 carries for 49 yards. Did not find the end zone. He trolls a lot of fantasy managers saying that he wasn't going to play after he was declared active. What do you see for Jacobs tomorrow? Do you think he's a possible RB1? Or are you in RB2 territory with him right now?
I'm absolutely in RB2 territory with him right now. We've talked about it all season. Josh Jacobs has been boom or bust for the majority of this season. I mean, he's really had some down weeks. Typically, he will get you in the double digits, which is why he's squarely in RB2 territory for me. The matchup isn't terrible. It's not the greatest matchup of all time, but absolutely not bad. So, Josh Jacobs, I'm probably putting him in my lineup. Not really all that much to say. I mean, last week he pulled that prank, and I think his low snap count was a lot due to his injury. Probably didn't want him in there blocking and getting injured on some kind of blocking play. So, I'm not super concerned about that number at this point. That should go up this coming week and as he starts to get healthier. But yeah, Josh Jacobs, mid-tier RB2.
Sandy asked a great question here, and I think it's a great point to bring up. Both of these teams are hurting right now. It's a short week. We got quite a few defensive pieces on the Raider side of the ball missing in this game. What are the chances this is the shootout? Because I'm strongly considering starting Derek Carr. I think he has a good chance of putting up 3 passing touchdowns this week.
I think this has one of the best chances out of all the games going on this week of being a shootout. We could see some high scoring numbers here. Obviously, we talked about the injuries on the Raiders side. Chargers offense and Chargers defense has been spotty, so you never know what's going to come out of that. Raiders offense has been very, very good recently, and now fully healthy. Josh Jacobs 100% ready to go. All those other guys good to go. Other than Ruggs, they're really not missing a whole lot of pieces. So, yeah, I could see this being a
I think you're really looking 50-50 on if it's a shootout or not. You look at the Chargers, they could be missing the majority of their starting pieces. I mean, Austin Eckler is questionable. Hunter Henry is questionable. Keenan Allen is questionable. Mike Williams is questionable. They're all questionable. If all those guys sit, most likely not. If those guys play, there's a solid chance, absolutely, it's a shootout. It very much depends on what Anthony Lynn does with the game plan. If he's letting Herbert take shots, sure. I mean, Derek Carr, he'll do whatever he has to do. He'll make big plays happen if he has to make big plays happen, but if he doesn't have to, he won't. So I think you're looking at a pretty 50-50 shot that it's a shootout or not, but the chance is absolutely there.